What is going on, my people? It is Wednesday, the best day of the week, okay? Because we all know what that means. Rezero day, baby. And we are back again, back at it with another banger episode. Is it just me, guys? Because I feel like they have not missed a single episode so far, okay? They're all bangers, every single one. And even though Subaru had the good fortune to not get killed this episode, they still dropped the biggest lore bomb on us. They dropped so many aha moments that I was like, yo, guys, I am convinced that Subaru is Flugel, okay? Nobody can tell me different. Nobody can convince me otherwise. I am steadfast in my belief that that will be revealed. Okay, because watching this episode, I'm like, bro, there is no way. There's no way it's not him. There's no way. Oh my God, guys, another week. Thank the good Lord, we are here. Thank you guys so much for joining me. And today we are talking ReZero Season 4, Episode 4. Guys, real quick before we begin, if you guys are loving the content, if you're loving the reviews, if you're loving the breakdowns, then hit that subscribe button because we are going to be here all season long and for a while longer too, because we got a lot to talk about when it comes to ReZero, okay? We are just getting started. Let's jump right into the episode. Let me tell you guys, it's a doozy, okay? We start the episode with my two favorite villains, okay? We get a nice glimpse of Regulus and Betelgeuse, okay? And they're just going back and forth in this space, Subaru's mind, let's call it, you know? But they're going back and forth and, you know, they're basically chastising Subaru, you know, talking down on him, you know, the things that Regulus and Betelgeuse do, you know? But if you guys remember last week when I told you, guys, there's big spoilers warnings, okay? Like, oh my God, I hate having to do this. But spoilers, guys, okay? If you guys remember last week when I told you guys the witch factors that he has grants him the authority to get past those doors, right? If you guys remember that? Well, because he has those factors, he's got a part of Betelgeuse and Regulus, okay? That's why they're going back and forth in his mind like that, okay? He's got a part of them with him. Like, that wasn't a dream. That was actually them, okay? Then we get Satella, mommy herself, and she comes and, you know, she tells Subaru the words that I wish I would hear from her, right? I'm like, damn, you lucky as fuck. But that's when Subaru wakes up, and double lucky because my guy wakes up in Amelia's lap, you know? And boom, this is where the episode, it gets running, right? So Subaru gets himself accustomed, he gets himself acquainted with his surroundings, blah, blah. Beatrice comes in, it's a nice little happy reunion, right? Subaru and Beatrice walk out. And this is where we are introduced to Shaula the Sage, okay? And Subaru, I gotta say, guys, he cannot keep getting away with this, bro. It's not fair. It's not fair, bro, okay? Like, Shaula is all up on my man before he even says a word. I don't know what kind of witch factor Subaru has, but it needs to be studied and developed into a formula, bruv. This is madness, bro. The guy has the baddest baddies in the kingdom just foaming for him, okay? He's got Krush, Amelia, Shaula. Like, bro, it doesn't end. It doesn't end. He just walks around collecting them like Pokemon. Bro, we cannot let this guy keep getting away with this, right? But anyway, they meet Shaula the Sage, right? And this is where we get our first instance of Subaru equals Flugel, okay? And we're gonna get a couple of them throughout the episode. Like, they are sprinkled all in the episode. It's crazy, right? They get to talking, right? And Shaula, she's like, Master, like, I'm so glad you've came, like, you know, and everybody's so confused. They're like, Master, you know, Subaru's like, what's going on? Like, who's Master? You know, like, she thinks I'm her master, you know? And then they take out some coins, right? And they say, this is the sage Flugel, right? And Shaula's like, yes, that's my master. That's my master. He's here right now, right? And they're like, okay, Subaru and Flugel, they don't look the same, right? Like, these two, they don't even look alike. So what are you talking about? And she says she recognizes Flugel from his smell, okay? He exudes that same miasma that Subaru does, right? Remember, guys, like Ram, when she first met him, super off-putting because of that miasma smell, right? He just walks around smelling like a dump truck to everybody who can smell it, right? So she recognizes Subaru with that same scent that Flugel had. So there's ding, right? There's ding. Number one, Subaru is Flugel. We're gonna get a couple of them, right? But they're talking, and Shaula's pretty much just explaining her backstory, you know? She was the sniper, you know? Of course, we all knew that, though. She was hella proud of it, too. She ain't even care. She was like, yo, like, you know, you was shooting at me, you know? Like, you almost blew my head off. And she was like, damn right. Like, pew, pew, pew. She's like, yo, I got that aim on me. I'm like, damn, she do. Yo, Shaula's a stone cold killer, bruv. Killer. Even there's a moment later on in the episode where she's like, yo, I don't remember like all the people I killed. After the first 100, I stopped counting. That's what you do when you're a sickle like me. I'm like, yo, this girl's with it. Don't play with her. Like, don't play with her. But she's giving them their backstory, and basically she's been guarding the Watchtower, right? Flugel has had her guarding the Watchtower for 400 years, okay? So she's just been chilling in there all by herself, right? Which is probably why she's a little bit, you know, kooky and crazy. You know, it's good for her to have some human interaction, you know? First time in 400 years, you know? Not bad. But she discusses some of the big dogs, Volcanica, the dragon, Reed, Estrella. Like, she was there, like, she was walking with some of these big dogs, you know? Like, she's no joke. Like, at the end of the day, she's no joke. There's a moment where Subaru even makes her promise him. He's like, yo, like, promise you're not gonna hurt me or any of my friends. Because, yo, the guy doesn't know if he can trust her, A, and B, she's strong as shit, bruv. Bro, she's carrying Patrage up the stairs. Like, bro, if they were to get into a scrap with Shaula, she wiped the floor with all of them. All of them. Like, who's about to stop her, bro? Who's about to stop her? So after, you know, Shaula gets acquainted with her long lost master, you know, Subaru actually goes with it, you know, and they make a agreement that they're not gonna reveal that he's not Flugel, just out of worry of what she might do, right? So for now, Subaru is Flugel, right? Subaru actually is Flugel. But this is where we go on a little tour of the Watchtower, right? And as they're walking through the tower, Shaula reveals the true purpose of the Watchtower, right? It's a library, and that's what she's guarding, right? It's a great, huge, big, humongous library, right? And this is where Subaru breaks off from the group with Rem, and he goes to check up on Rem. And the Watchtower is super cool, right? Because they got this room where it's basically just a healing room, right? There's a spirit that lives in the room, and basically all the spirit wants to do is heal any illness or injury, right? So Patrage was super messed up. Patrage is chilling in there. Rem is chilling in there. They were hoping that by putting Rem in that room that maybe she would wake up. But since what she has technically isn't like an illness or like a sickness, the room doesn't really register it, and you know, like, it doesn't do anything. So you know, we gotta keep going. Hopefully Rem wakes up soon. You know, if you know, you know. But You know? Anyways, it is nice. I will say, it is nice to see Rem and Subaru like bonding together over Rem, especially after last week's fiasco with that whole thing. You know, I'm glad to see them like, you know, showing some affection towards each other, you know, bonding over Rem. They both love Rem, you know, so it is nice to see, you know. ReZero can have these like really nice heartwarming moments, and then it can just be like, damn, like the worst thing ever. It's incredible. That's truly an art, you know. But this is where Subaru breaks off again from Rem, and he joins back up with the rest of the group, right? And Shaula explains that the top 3 floors of the Watchtower are the exam sites, right? So there's 3 exams, and you need to pass the first one to gain access to the library. So it's not like you can just walk up in there and you gain access to the library, right? No. Nothing's ever that easy in this world, guys. Like, don't forget the world we're living in, right? So they walk into the first exam room, and the Subaru finds out that they already attempted to do this exam while he was sleeping, but they couldn't get past it. So it must be super hard, right? They walk into this room, and it's literally just like blank, you know, like nothing. It's like heaven or something, you know, just white light. And in the middle, there's like a stone slab, right? They touch the slab, and like a gazillion other slabs just pop up everywhere, you know? They're like, what the hell? So this is when Julius explains to them that, or Julius explains to Subaru that, you know, they tried to do it, and then he touches the slab, and then they all disappear, and then there's only one again. And then touching that one again releases the gazillion. So it's like you have to pick the right one out of like a trillion stone slabs, you know? And Subaru brings up the idea. He's like, well, why don't we just, you know, like randomly touch every one, you know? Which, brother, in that room with that many slabs, that would take you, I don't even know how long that would take you. And then you'd have to keep track. What if they're being randomized every time you like do it? Like, you don't know that. Like, bro, that's like the worst idea I've ever heard. No offense, Subaru, but that idea is dookie. You know what I mean? Amelia's like looking down in shame because she's like, I already tried it. It didn't work because it's a retarded idea. I'm like, yeah. Anyways, you know? But this is where we actually get a little funny tidbit, because Subaru asked Shaula about Reed, right? And she like shits her pants, guys. Like he mentions Reed to her, and she like runs around, right? And it's so funny because Julius, right? Of course, Julius. This guy's like, well, why are you so scared? Like, I'm sure Reed Estrella, he was the founder of, you know, the honorable Estrella family. He was the first sword saint. The guy must have been a man of honorable character. He must have been noble. And the whole time, I'm just laughing. I'm like, yo, just you wait, little nigga. Just you wait, Julius. You don't see how noble Reed is. And Charlotte even said to herself, she's like, bro, I don't know who told you that. Reed Estrella? Nah, bruv. Ain't nothing honorable about that man. In fact, he actually liked to bully the weak. Okay? I'm like, damn. Julius like having his entire like dream shattered in front of his eyes. And oh my god, and they ain't even get shattered yet. But this is when Subaru, right? He realizes that the answer would be something that only he can figure out, right? Like, it's something that only he can know. And this is when he sees the little scorpion tail on Shaula, and he has an idea, right? He lifts up into the air, right? And he sees the monoliths from above, and he's like, okay, I got it. And this is where we get another indication that Subaru is Flugel, okay? Because nobody was able to pass that exam before, because they wouldn't have been able to regardless, okay? Only somebody from Earth would have been able to understand that, and not even somebody from Earth who has knowledge about stars, Okay? How many of you know what a antrium is, or whatever it says? An antrium. How many of you can point up in the sky and tell me where the Pleiades constellation is, or Orion is? You know? How many of y'all can even tell me where the Big Dipper is? You know what I mean? So the fact that Subaru can figure this out, bruv, that means like 99.9% of people in the world of ReZero wouldn't have been able to figure it out, because the constellations aren't the same. You know what I'm saying? That was even a puzzle? That somebody made that a puzzle? Yeah, to a Flugel either, okay, well, it's obviously 1000% sure. There's not even maybe. Flugel definitely came from Earth. The only kind of question now is he like a time traveling something version of Subaru or something? You know what I'm saying? Yo, even take this in, bro. You know how like Flugel back in like the 400 years ago days, he was rolling around with Volcanica the dragon, Reed Estrella, bro. All three of them. Subaru has a knack too of bringing together some strong ass motherfuckers. Reinhard, that one speeding motherfucker. You guys know who I'm talking about. Katana Boy, Wolfman. Bro, you just look at the deeds. So they're literally telling me. It's Subaru is Flugel, or like an reincarnate something. Because the fact that this knowledge is so specific to Subaru himself. So get this, guys. Coming down, right? We get a classic ReZero. Guys, did you catch this? I love when they do this. I love when they like throw the credits and I'm like, oh, okay, the episode's done. But then nah, we pick up after, and then we still get like a little 2-3 minute little, you know, post-credit scene. I do be loving that, you know? And we get a little post-credit scene. And the post-credit scene, Subaru is basically explaining to the group that they wouldn't have been able to get it because it's constellations and blah, 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 blah. They don't understand all that, right? But he does say something very interesting. Well, I thought it was interesting, right? He basically, when he's describing how he got to the end point of the exam, right? He's like, there's like 2 constellations left you could choose between, right? Like there's like Regal and let's just say like Orion, you know? And he's like, if it was me, I would pick Regal, you know? He's like, if it were me, I'd pick Regal. And he puts his hand on the Regal monolith and they pass the exam. And I'm like, bro, yo, they're basically shoving it in our faces. In our faces. They're literally like, here's your evidence. It's right here. Are you blind? Do we need to spell it out for you, dummies? You know? Or this is the biggest misdirect in history, okay? The biggest misdirect in history. But I don't know. Subaru is most definitely Flugel, guys. They passed the exam and they gained access to the library, and that is where our episode ends. No death, nothing crazy, no big shocks, no big fighting sequences, just some straight lore and character moments. I mean, I love to just see the group interact, you know? Meili and Shaula's hilarious, you know? Meili's grabbing on Shaula's hair. Shaula is just like, she just like loves Subaru off like crazy. Like she's like fiending for it, you know? I'm like, damn. Subaru just is that guy, clearly, you know? I don't know. I can never get tired of watching this guy. Just, you know, sauce and finesse and riz and do his thing. You know, the guy's too sick, bro. I'm telling you, the way he just be bagging them under his belt. Sheesh. Subaru. My God, the guy is a demon. Guys, what did you think of the episode? No deaths, thank God. You know, my boy made it 1 week, you know. Maybe next week he won't make it. Who knows? Who knows? Drop your comments down below, guys. Are you rocking with rezero as much as I am? Like, this is definitely the best show on television right now. You know, it's better than The Boys, better than Invincible, better than Daredevil, better than Euphoria, better than all y'all foolishness. You know what I'm saying? It's rezero, baby. If y'all not watching it, get on it, because there's no better place to be. Just take it from me, bruv. Guys, let me know how y'all feeling down in the comments below. Thank you so much for watching. If you stayed this long, then hit that subscribe button. I appreciate you for watching this long. And best believe we will be back with another one.